Alrighty, YouTube, Niner Empire, what is going down? Welcome back to another video. So, 49ers, Ravens, of course, Christmas night, 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here in Indiana, of course. If not, if you're on the West Coast, of course, that's, I believe, a 5:15 game over there. So, big game, of course, for both teams. I mean, going into this game, it's, the number one seed in the AFC versus the number one seed in the NFC. Many are calling it a potential Super Bowl preview matchup. Obviously, both teams could very, very well be playing in February in Las Vegas for the Super Bowl. So, obviously, when it comes to both teams, I think, we in my previous video I talked about the notable injuries going into this game, and obviously some of the key pieces on the 49ers and the Baltimore Ravens that are either questionable or out going into this game. But I think obviously for the most part, the hope and the expectation is that Eric Armstead and Javon Hargrave will both be back in playing in this game. This is a game where Baltimore could very well take advantage of the run game with Lamar Jackson and with Melvin Gordon and Justice Hill. Baltimore, I think one of their biggest, one of their biggest things that has obviously showed a lot of success this season is their run game. They do it at a high level. They do it just as good as any other top run team in the NFL, and they've been very, very efficient at the run game and things of that nature. So I think really in all reality, to start off, the keys to win this football game, of course, I think this is very much easier said than done, but that's keeping Lamar Jackson in the pocket. Obviously, that's the 49ers aren't going to do that every play. You simply can't do it with an elite type of player like Lamar Jackson is. But when it comes to Lamar Jackson, a lot of his big plays and a lot of his plays that you kind of just look at in all are 9 times out of 10 the plays where he escapes pressure, gets out of the pocket, throws on the run, or tucks the ball and runs it for 10, 15 yards and picks up a first down. So I think really in all reality, the 49ers aren't going to stop him in doing that the entire game. Lamar's going to escape pressure. He's going to, he's going to do those type of things. But I think if San Francisco can, more often than not keep him in the pocket, they're going to have success. Baltimore, when it comes to their receiving options, they're slim. We don't know if Zay Flowers will be playing. I think he's trending towards playing, but obviously that's not 100%. Odell Beckham Jr., his status is in doubt with him dealing with an illness. So Baltimore is going to be very thin when it comes to wide receivers. They're going to be thin in the wide receiver room. Obviously, they don't have Mark Andrews anymore, and obviously that was Lamar Jackson's top weapon. It honestly does suck we can't see both of these teams playing at full health. Baltimore's way more injured, than San Francisco is going into this game, but this game would be, this game is going to be electric no matter what, but this game would even be on another level, if Keaton Mitchell wouldn't have got hurt and if J.K. Dobbins wouldn't have got hurt and obviously Mark Andrews. Baltimore has really, really taken a hit when it comes to injuries this season. So obviously it sucks on their behalf that, they can't come into this game at full health and obviously play the 49ers, with the absolute best team that they possibly have. But unfortunately, man, everybody knows, injuries are a part of football. Good teams find ways to win with or without injuries, and that's something that Baltimore has did a great job at, is, it's next man up. And they, with Lamar Jackson playing the way he is playing, they've absolutely, they've had guys that have stepped up. They've had younger guys that have stepped up in place of some of these injuries. So, like I said, good teams find ways to win with injuries, and Baltimore is a very good team that has found ways to win, against very good talent with some of the injuries that they've had. So I have the utmost respect for John Harbaugh and the Baltimore Ravens and that franchise. John Harbaugh easily is probably one of the most underappreciated head coaches, I think, in all of the NFL. People always talk about how, Mike Tomlin's underappreciated and that he rarely has losing seasons. I don't think the guy has had a losing season in his entire tenure with the Pittsburgh Steelers, but, John Harbaugh's right there with him in terms of that. John Harbaugh, there's a reason he is one of the most longest tenured head coaches in the NFL, and that's just simply his ability to I guess the way he's been coaching over his entire era with the Baltimore Ravens. He's a great head coach. He's one of the more underappreciated head coaches in all of football. They have a very, very good defense. Baltimore's always known to have a very good defense, so I'm not really surprised in terms of that. But, Kyle Shanahan raved about, the Ravens linebacker duo of Roquan Smith and Patrick Queen earlier this season, and I definitely think when it comes to linebackers, obviously I don't think anybody has the better duo over Dre Greenlaw and Fred Warner in the NFL, but if I could name two people that are probably right behind those guys, it's Roquan Smith and Patrick Queen. So, Baltimore does a great job of, getting players in to fit the culture. I can't say enough about, the respect I have for Baltimore and John Harbaugh and that franchise over there. But either way, I kind of got off topic there. But yeah, keeping Lamar Jackson in the pocket, again, is something that's going to be easier said than done. But I think if San Francisco is able to do that more often than not, they're going to have success and they can win this football game. And I think probably moving on to the second key to win this game, I think one of the biggest things, probably the biggest key to winning this football game, is getting the ball to Christian McCaffrey in the passing game. Baltimore has a very, very good run game, or run defense, but they struggle against running backs in the passing game. Defending passes against running backs has been one of Baltimore's defensive struggles all year. For a team, with Roquan Smith and Patrick Queen at the linebacker position, and not only that, but a superstar safety and Kyle Hamilton. That may sound pretty surprising because it did to me. But look, Baltimore ranks 24th in the NFL in DVOA to running backs. And the 49ers have the best running back in football. Obviously a potential MVP candidate. You guys know how I feel about the MVP. I think you got to give the slight edge to Purdy, but if you're not going to give it to Purdy, it best be Christian McCaffrey. So there's no other running back more elite and more talented, than Christian McCaffrey in the NFL. So why not attack one of Baltimore's main weaknesses on defense and get that passing game going to Christian McCaffrey early and often? I think, when you look at some of the offenses the Ravens have played, during the past month, a lot of those offenses that, Baltimore played just dump the ball off to their running back or throw screens to them. Christian McCaffrey is lined up as an actual wide receiver on 146 snaps this season, all in all. He's been targeted beyond the line of scrimmage 18 times this year. And I think, it seems to me teams have gone out of their way to target Patrick Queen a lot this year. He's got 6 games this season with at least 6 targets. There are 7 games when Patrick Queen has allowed at least 5 receptions, and another 6 games when he gave up at least 40 yards in coverage. So, I think avoiding Roquan Smith and Patrick Queen in coverage against McCaffrey will keep the Niners' offense ahead of the chains. Obviously, Christian McCaffrey is going to be a difficult matchup for Patrick Queen. But again, Christian McCaffrey would be a difficult matchup for Fred Warner, if those guys played on different teams. So, it should come as no surprise that Christian McCaffrey is the second highest DVOA for running backs through the air this far throughout the season. But, again, I think, the Ravens also have allowed or have the 9th lowest adjusted sack rate in the NFL, paired with the 5th lowest blitz rate. So in theory, Purdy should have time to scan the field against, the Ravens defense. And I think, with Baltimore, it's a bend but don't break defense that forces offenses to settle for field goals. And they did good at that this year, hence to why their defense has been, top notch all season. But I think when it comes to Christian McCaffrey, like I said, I mean, I said this last week and probably even the week before. The key for almost any game for the 49ers, one of the main keys for the 49ers going into each and every game they play, you can easily say the main key is getting the ball to Christian McCaffrey. Again, I mean, the guy's exploding this season. He's on, he's had an historic season up until this point. And I think when you pair that with Brock Purdy, who is a elite decision maker, he's elite in scanning the field and going to the right guy. That's tough for any defense in the league. It's tough for the Baltimore Ravens, but it's tough for any defense. So again, I think when it comes to Christian McCaffrey, obviously Baltimore is going to have a pretty stifling run defense, I would expect. But again, they don't bode well with those running backs. They don't bode well with those running backs. In the passing game, and that showed over the course of majority of the season. So. I mean, again, I think with Roquan Smith and Patrick Queen, I mean, those guys, Christian McCaffrey's going to be a tough matchup for them, but, it's a double-edged sword. Like, going up against Patrick Queen and Roquan Smith is going to be tough for Christian McCaffrey. And again, I mean, I said it earlier in this video, but if there's two other linebackers aside from Dre Greenlaw and Fred Warner that I think, is right there with them guys in talent and what they mean to the team, it's definitely Patrick Queen and Roquan Smith. So, again, get Christian McCaffrey involved in the passing game often and early, and limit Lamar Jackson, limit that outside scrambling, keep him in the pocket. One thing that the 49ers did well last week, and they struggled at it at first, but one of the keys I said going into last week's game when the Niners played Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals was keeping Kyler Murray in the pocket. Kyler Murray can't see the field staying in the pocket. He has a lot of his success through the air, and the aerial attack comes from being, able and his ability to escape the pocket and throw on the run and things of that nature. And San Francisco struggled at that for the first, probably first quarter of that game, but Steve Wilkes and that defense made adjustments, and they ended up actually playing that pretty well and keeping Kyler Murray in the pocket. But this go around, like Lamar Jackson, I believe he's like less than 100 yards or something like that away from his career high passing yards through the air. So one thing that Baltimore, wanted Lamar to work on throughout the offseason was the passing game and becoming a better passer. And Lamar Jackson has absolutely did that. And unlike, Kyler Murray, Lamar Jackson can make plays, on his in the pocket and not escaping the pocket. So Lamar Jackson's tall enough to be able to scan the field and see guys in the pocket. So I think, again, I mean, kind of boding with and going with keeping Lamar in the pocket, I think that's getting pressure on Lamar. I think probably the biggest key going into this game is limiting Lamar Jackson in the run game and limiting his ability to run the football. Again, I think, when it comes to Lamar Jackson, he's going to scramble. He's going to pick up yards. But I think, again, you can't shut Lamar Jackson's run game down. There's just no stopping that. Lamar Jackson made some unbelievable plays last week against Trevor Lawrence and the Jags. There were so many plays where it looked like it was going to result in a sack from the Jacksonville Jaguars, and somehow, some way, Lamar utilizes his legs, puts on his magic and gets out of the pocket and makes something out of nothing. And Lamar does that probably better than any NFL quarterback in the entire league. So I think when you obviously San Francisco is going to have opportunities to get to Lamar Jackson and tackle him, but you can't just get to Lamar Jackson. It doesn't matter if there's pressure in his face. He can scramble and he can make a throw on the run, and obviously San Francisco would then give up a big chunk play. But I think while getting pressure on Lamar Jackson, you got to tackle him. Like, there's nothing else that the 49ers could struggle on worse than getting to Lamar Jackson and not tackling him. It's not going to be an easy task, but that's why going into this game, Eric Armstead and Javon Hargrave and Nick Bosa, and obviously Chase Young, like those guys that's going to be a big matchup for all of those guys. And obviously we don't know if Hargrave and Armstead is playing, but you guys can probably see the magnitude of how important they can be in this game. So that's why obviously you want them to play in this game, because we need, as many high-level defensive linemen as we can possibly have. And again, I think, my gut is telling me that Hargrave and Armstead will both suit up. But again, I'm not, don't quote me on that, because obviously we don't know for sure. But, again, I mean, that's why them guys playing is so important. Like, we need these high-level defensive linemen that we have, to be able to get to Lamar Jackson. And not only that, but Javon Hargrave and Eric Armstead have done a phenomenal job at plugging the gaps throughout the entire offseason, or throughout the entire season when it comes to, facing running quarterbacks. Forcing Lamar Jackson to run outside is dangerous, but I think San Francisco could do a pretty good job at that, especially with, having Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw a part of that front seven. Like, it's going to be tough for Lamar, but that doesn't mean that it's going to be tough for Fred Warner and that defensive line either. So I think, with Hargrave and Armstead, like they do a phenomenal job at plugging the gaps, and that's why in this game they're going to be so important. Obviously we want them guys to play. Like, we can't. It's going to be tough, obviously Kalia Davis, was injured last week, so that's even, a bigger hit to the Niners defensive line or defensive tackle room. But, again, I mean, I think, if the 49ers can do those three things well, get to Lamar Jackson, tackle him, limit Lamar Jackson when it comes to, getting out of the pocket, like keeping him in the pocket as much as they possibly can. And then on the offensive side of things, get the ball to Christian McCaffrey early and often in the passing game. Again, Baltimore ranks 24th in the league and giving up, a lot of yards to running backs through the aerial attack. I think if San Francisco can do those three things pretty well, there shouldn't be a problem in winning this game. But again, all of these things are very much easier said than done, especially when it comes to keeping Lamar Jackson in the pocket, getting pressure on him, but not just getting pressure, like bringing him down and tackling him. And again, Lamar's going to be an ass in this game to bring down and to tackle and to stop in the run game. And he's, like I said, he's not, he's going to get his. But again, I mean, if San Francisco can at least limit that, I don't have any doubt that San Francisco will be able to score points this game. As long as they, can make smart decisions and obviously, Brock Purdy playing at the elite level he is playing, like, I don't have any doubt in my mind that San Francisco is going to be able to, to score points. But this could also be a defensive battle. Like, I wouldn't be shocked if this game was strictly a defensive battle. So, with that being said, of course, I mean, those are my main three keys to winning this game. Pressure on Lamar Jackson, but not only pressure, bringing him down and tackling him, keeping Lamar in the pocket, and then obviously, Christian McCaffrey, get him going early and often in the passing game, and I think San Francisco can win. And obviously, both of my keys had something to do with Lamar Jackson. That, hints to why Lamar Jackson's been such a special player for the Ravens. Like, he's been able to put the team on his back, make plays, and get wins. So, if San Francisco can do those things fairly well, they shouldn't have a problem winning this game. So that obviously leads me to my score prediction. It's really hard to get a read on this game because I could very well see it being high scoring, but with the magnitude and the talent that both defenses have on their roster, I'm looking at something like 24-18 49ers win it. 24-20. I think I'm going to go with like 24-17 49ers win. I think, I think it's going to be close throughout the entirety of the game. But, again, if San Francisco can get to Lamar, bring him down, keep him in the pocket, and get Christian McCaffrey going in the passing game, I think San Francisco can get out of here with the win. But again, I'm not going to sit up here and say, like, I know Mike Florio said that the 49ers are going to kick the shit out of the Ravens and that, the 49ers are going to dismantle the Ravens. I don't see that. I really don't. I think San Francisco, one thing that they have struggled on all season long is rushing quarterbacks in the rush game. If there's one weakness of the 49ers defense, it's, the run defense. And that's something that the Baltimore Ravens do better than almost anybody in the entire NFL. So I think they're going to struggle. I think Baltimore, could have a lot of success in running the football and being able to convert third downs and things of that nature. But again, San Francisco knows that going into this game. Fred Warner said after, the Arizona game, where Arizona had a lot of success running the football with Kyler Murray, with James Conner. They had a lot of success in running the football last week, and Fred Warner, said after the game that, we're facing a Baltimore team that excels in running the football, and that's something that we've struggled on the past couple weeks. So they're going to have to make adjustments. Steve Wilkes is going to have, to put together a game plan that's going to they're going to have to put together a game plan that's strictly based off of that run game in Baltimore and Lamar Jackson, and hopefully it works out. Again, I don't think that the Niners will just dismantle the Ravens. But when it comes to injuries and things of that nature, like Baltimore is just losing. They don't have, obviously, I don't think they have enough talent on their team as of right now to beat the 49ers. I still think they're a Super Bowl contender without a doubt. And again, I don't think the 49ers are going in here just absolutely going to kick the shit out of them, because I think it's going to be a tough game for the Niners. Again, I think one of the main reasons it will be tough is because of Baltimore, success running the football. But again, I don't think, that the Niners are just going to, dismantle the Niners. But I do like the Niners here, 24-17, 24-16. I'm going to say 24-16. That's going to be my final score prediction. 24-16 Niners win. I also wouldn't be surprised, though, if the Niners won by 10 here. I think the game's way more closer than a 10-point spread for the Niners, but I think the Niners could, get that turnover and get that field goal to put the game out of reach. So I wouldn't be shocked if the Niners win by 10, but I'm going to go 24-16 here. Niners win. I think Brock Purdy, plays a fantastic game. I think Christian McCaffrey could have a big game in the passing and the aerial attack. And I think San Francisco knows that they have struggled against the run. I think that's been their probably main, focus point going into this game, and I think they're going to do a good job at that. So we'll see what happens, but I like the Niners here, 24-16. But again, we'll see what happens. Hopefully, obviously, Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw are able to limit that Lamar Jackson run game. Hopefully, of course, Javon Hargrave and Eric Armstead are healthy and ready to go. But again, I just don't think that the Ravens have enough firepower to go in here on Christmas Day in San Francisco and beat the 49ers at home. That's just a tough task. So again, Niners 24-16. That's what I like. Let me know your guys' keys and what you think is going to be key to winning this game. Obviously, I'm sure it's probably going to have to do with Lamar Jackson because of the type of player he is. But again, I expect the Niners to come out fast and score early. Obviously, that's the hope. And obviously, one or two turnovers by that defense would always help. But I like the Niners here, 24-16. We'll see what happens, though. Of course, I'll be uploading at least probably one more video before the game on Monday, just kind of giving one more update on the injuries and things of that nature going into the game. So stay tuned for that, of course. But as always, go Niners. Happy holidays, of course, to everybody out there. I'll be making, obviously, the post-game reaction video following the game on Christmas Day. So obviously stay tuned for that as well. But happy holidays, Merry Christmas to everybody out there. With that being said, as always, go Niners. I'll see you guys in the next one.